Morning, all. Come on, there we go. Sorry for the live chat being broken. Sometimes YouTube mysteriously breaks it, and I would have to restart this several times for it to work, and I don't feel like it. So, Alex Jones and conspiracies. Now, I'm going to be keeping this short and discussing some of the more opinionated feedback. Now, a lot of the stuff that the right wing, the conspiracist, Alex Jones, etc., predicts or talks about are absolutely true, but they are either not in that scale or not so fast. Now, for example, the Satanist cabal and the demons, all true, but most of them are like Lucretia from the Alien Dialogues. They aren't interested in us, they're just doing their own thing. The idea that they are interested in our civilization is the same as saying that you're interested in the cow civilization. You're not. Just because you eat some cow meat doesn't mean that you go around shooting cows for funsies or have a some sort of nefarious plot to end cow kind. That's not how you treat your farm animals. Now, the Civil War stuff, all true. All countries, when they live long enough, undergo through civil wars, but I sincerely doubt that it's going to be happening now. The US has weathered this racial discord storm rather well. They are able to balance themselves out. These issues seem minor. The racial tensions in the US are going to be solved in Europe because it's a little bit more acute in Europe, more sudden. And in Europe, because of the racial issues with immigration, we now have some of these right wing parties gaining 20% of the vote. And they are not going to be allowed to gain more. The main parties are going to tackle the issue because they don't want Nazism to rise again. And no matter how much the Greens or anybody else cries, they're going to limit immigration and they're going to limit Islamization. So that's not going to trigger a civil war. And a lot of this stuff is something where the conspiracists bless me. A lot of this stuff is stuff where the conspiracists believe that the cabal is in a hurry. That's the one thing they're not. They control everything. I know I've talked with them myself over Norse map. I know them. And the one thing they are not is in a hurry. They have been trying to raise this planet to what we in the law of attraction circles call the fourth density for a while now. And by while, I mean at least Mesopotamia. And every time they get this icon of theirs into a position of asking, do you, as the human exemplar, want humans to be unified and happy and in a paradise and all that stuff? Just like they say in the Bible, the humans say no. And that's something that the people who talk about this stuff outside of the Illuminati don't get. The Illuminati have time. They essentially control everything except the very small businesses. And they're in no hurry. If they don't get their plan, tough for them, we'll have a better one. And in fact, that's what they think as well. And if they just see humanity going in another way, it's life. They're in no hurry, but they ask their human exemplar, their icon of sin, if you will. Every few years, do you want to do this now? And they regularly say no. And this has been going on for thousands of years. So the human experiment is pretty solidly footed. We're not going to see it suddenly switch into the light side or the love side and transcend, because this is actually a fun existence compared to working for the light. This is a fun existence. Now, the stuff like the alien invasion and such are probably not gonna happen. They might slap us for some specific error in our behavior, and that would be it. They would appear, you know, beam up a few politicians, we sternly warn them, and beam them down and leave. That's what they would do. This is roughly along the lines of what we experience. They could appear in orbit, beam up Jeffrey Epstein from his CIA double body safe house, beam him in front of the White House lawn and appear next to him and say, "Bad, this is not what you should be doing," and leave. That would be massive, galactic. That would be unprecedented in terms of what they would have to do. Because all this stuff that the conspiracists that talk of this stuff, the one thing they misunderstand is just how much time the Illuminati has. Your fear of them and your desire to summon them to appear quickly is essentially your fault. If you don't understand that, from the appearance of the first Sons of Liberty supporters in the US, it took perhaps 200 years for the US to become its own country. And from that, it took 300 years for them to have a serious chance of falling into communism or any other form of government from their original one. You are somewhat mistaken. It will take hundreds of years for the US to completely vanish, and it may never do so in the human history. It's possible, though not likely, that they will survive until humans no longer exist. And the reality is that these changes are slow, they're gradual. When you have the sense of civil war impending, civil war going to happen, you have to adjust to the fact that the spirits that tell you this don't really have a sense of time. They don't understand time. They see the main point of the event, the civil war itself, and our lifelines as waves slowly coalescing and dispersing through the ether, and they see this blob where they call war. And at its very edges, where it's fuzzy and barely detectable, is where they think the war is also in effect. It's like a sphere of fuzziness with a very small hard center. And us humans assume associate such a war with the hard center, while they associate it with the fuzzy blob. So when they send you information that you are going to be in a civil war, they mean that the very first sign of it will appear, like, say, tomorrow, and it will continue to slowly boil for the next 250 years. And then there will be a 5 year war, and then it will slowly continue to decline for 250 years. This is how the spirits operate. So try to understand just how much time they have. The power is completely irrelevant because it is incredibly easy to raise yourself in the Illuminati to a position where you have so much power that you literally don't know what to do with. You can fulfill every dream that you have ever had, and you're at the very edge of the Illuminati. If you desire money, they can summon you. I dare not say what types of and kinds of money, but piles beyond the riches of the most, piles beyond the dreams of the most average person in the universe. And that is not even breaking a sweat. When we are talking about unifying the human spirit in a good way, in a positive way, those dreams to take into reality do take some effort, but getting everybody into paradise is a minor effort compared to how much they do in the background that we never see. In fact, I would say that the Illuminati are best known for two types of people: the failures, the guys who think you have to be at the very top of it to have any power. That's not the way it works. It's not a center organization. It's an edge organization. When you join the very edge of it, you get the most of its power, and when you start moving inward, you get more responsibility, and your power is slowly used towards those responsibilities. And when you're at the center of it, you have no power, but you have all responsibilities. And you have to act through others to get the responsibilities carried out. It teaches you to live through others and for others. So the first thing they give you, as anybody who has ever played a good fantasy game understands, is unlimited power. That's the first thing they give you. And when you start making mistakes with those powers, they slowly give you the framework of repair, where you understand where others have made the same mistakes and you can try to repair those as well. So, those first category of people are the people who believe that you have to be at the center of the Illuminati to have power. They clearly, from the very misunderstanding of what the Illuminati is, don't really understand the Illuminati. That's not the real group. And the second group of the Illuminati, basically, are the people who kind of see them as angels. They understand that the Illuminati is just one more word for the angel society. And they understand that they are so much more powerful and inactive than you would imagine. They have the power to do virtually anything except subvert your own God given self. But they also have no, uh, I don't want to say limitation, but they have no, perhaps compulsion is the word. They have no desire to act anymore. They are content to see how things proceed on their own. The New Agers, the people who just watch. So the Illuminati, all these conspiracies, the Alex Jonesism, they miss the one thing from which you can tell that they don't know the Illuminati, and that is that they assume the Illuminati is in a hurry. The Illuminati reaches the very top of the evolutionary apex, where they are ready to switch the entire humanity onto the paradise footing. But the one person whose permission they need, the primary ego of that moment of humanity, has for thousands of years, and I suspect it's going to continue for a while, said no, and will probably continue to say no. And that is where Jesus and all this jazz comes in, standing at the mountain saying, nah. And that's, Jesus being the Roman Empire deciding not to expand anymore and turning inward into a religious answer for everyone. So, you know. So, long story short, when somebody talks to you about the Illuminati or these conspiracies, if they seem to be in a hurry in this explanation that they are just getting all their pieces together or they are, in a hurry, you can pretty clearly say that it's not true. If the conspiracy involves them being slow, meticulous, being in place for thousands of years, and there being a cycle of asking for these things and always being refused, and for some specific reason, this time when they get their pieces together and ask the ego, there is something so radically different in humanity that there's a risk that the ego says yes, then you can worry. So that's about it. Thank you for watching.